are looking to become Bitcoiners, welcome. And this is This Week in Bitcoin. This is a Bitcoin news update for the week ending August 28th, 2020. This is brought to you by adoBtion. If you would like to subscribe to my free Bitcoin education and news emails, you can head over to Learn Bitcoin at adoBtion.io. So if you head to adoBtion.io, you'll be able to subscribe for free to my email list. My goal was to make it easy for you to understand and use Bitcoin so you could help adopt it and use it in your day-to-day life or in your business. This is the news update again for the week ending August 28th, 2020. And what a week it has been. Yesterday I launched a news update after Jerome Powell gave his speech. This I'll cover further in the segment. I also want to talk about a few new features with cashback for Bitcoin. So for those of you that like cashback, stay tuned. And also how to secure your keys with Casa wallet. Great. So just like we start every Bitcoin Friday, let's turn to the charts. Nothing really exciting happening today. Like I said, yesterday's Fed news, inflation's coming. The markets are actually liking that because the markets need money, right? The drug addict needs money in order to have his fix, just like the market needs money in order to continue to go up. So again, Bitcoin's price right now, 11,500. Trend is our friend. Still looking at an upward trend. Those of you that are hodlers, keep hodling, keep holding. One of the recommendations that I give to people is dollar cost averaging. That's recommended by a lot of industry experts in the crypto space and not in the crypto space. When you dollar cost average, what that means is that if you were to buy Bitcoin every day at X amount of dollars, so say you want to buy $5 worth of Bitcoin every day, you can set that reoccurring automatic buy. And what you actually do is what we call a dollar cost average. So you're buying Bitcoin every day. So what you're doing is you're lowering or raising the average cost that you bought Bitcoin at as a whole of your portfolio. So this is a way to take advantage of a lot of the downturns in the market, as well as making sure that you have a lower purchasing price overall on the upturns of the market. Where can you do this? One of the places that we recommend quite often is Swan Bitcoin. So you can head over to swanbitcoin.com. I believe it's swanbitcoin.com. Yes, it is. So if you head to swanbitcoin.com, you'll see that this company has made it extremely easy and elegant for you to dollar cost average. Look at that. Look at that UI. That is beautiful. Save. So you just do these inputs. I want to save $50 worth of Bitcoin every week, day, month, every 2 months, year, using the debit card that you link or whatever funding source for your account. And what it's going to do, it's going to set up an automatic withdrawal of a certain amount of Bitcoin based on your dollar amount that you put in to your Bitcoin wallet on the app. So this is a really good way to dollar cost average, and you'll see here that'll help you build your Satoshi stacks, So look into that. Yeah, Swan Bitcoin, pretty cool company. Great. So let's get to the first news update of this week. And again, it starts with Jerome Powell and the Fed. I want to start this segment with turning to Jill Carson. Those that don't know Jill Carson, she's a younger female entrepreneur, also an entrepreneur in the crypto space, the Bitcoin and blockchain space, and she's also a venture capitalist. So definitely give her a follow on Twitter. But she states that as of this was yesterday, August 27th at 12:58 p.m., just after the Fed meeting. When the bill comes due, there are two ways out. A, hurt the poor with inflation. B, hurt the rich with taxation. The Fed just made option A the official policy. So what does that mean? What is she referring to by this? The Fed has decided to hurt the poor with inflation. Well, this goes back to yesterday's meeting by Jerome Powell, which, by the way, if anyone watched it, look it up online. It's pretty funny. It definitely looks like a deep fake out. He's recording himself from Jackson Hole, and there's a lag in his video and his audio, and he sounds like a robot from his audio. So, I think going forward, no matter what, little rant off topic here, we got to watch out for the deep fakes, right? Because we don't know who through these live streams are talking. But yesterday he gave a speech from Jackson Hole. This is an annual conference that typically happens here in the United States for the Federal Reserve Bank and most central banks around the world. Last year at that meeting, I believe it was the ECB president or one of the other central bank presidents around the world made it very clear that the dollar's stance as reserve currency was at risk going into 2020. This was known by central banks around the world. This has been known in the financial service industry for quite a long time, that the dollar's reign is slowly coming to an end. Now moving into 2020, this event was changed quite a bit this year due to COVID-19 regulation, so they decided to live stream it. What Jerome Powell essentially said is that the Fed has reviewed how they manage monetary policy in the past, and they understand some of the difficulties in the current state due to unemployment and also lower interest rates. They did make it very clear that monetary policy would not be effective anymore once the interest rate is at where it is now and going lower. Their argument to this was that they believe that going forward, they will increase inflation when necessary with the goal of maintaining the 2% annual rate of inflation if they could, when they could. So what does that mean? That means that they said, you know what? We'll focus on that 2% target rate of inflation, but if we can't get it and we got to inflate more than that 2%, we're going to do that because we're just going to make sure that we keep it afloat. We want to keep people employed. But let's look at the reality here. Interest rates are at or near zero, and it's negative interest rates around the world, most of the world. The U.S. is one of the last ones. Jerome Powell had said that we needed more inflation to try to offset the risk of less inflation, because if there's too little inflation, then that interest rate has the risk of going further, and then monetary policy doesn't work anymore. But what he left out to the people is that monetary policy no longer works. And what's going to happen with this inflation is that the rich are going to keep getting richer. The wealth gap that we have today is one of the wealth gaps that we've seen in this country since the 20s and 30s. We know that the top 0.01% of the wealth in the United States owns the same share of wealth as the bottom 99% of the population. This wealth gap had been broadened and expanded even further over the last 10 to 12 years after the last financial crisis due to at or near zero interest rates and free money by inflation from the Federal Reserve, to banking executives into pockets of business executives, and that money never made it down to Main Street, you and I, which in 2007 was the experiment. We print a lot of money, it trickles through the economy, wages increase, we re-stimulate the economy, and then the system moves on. But what have we seen over the last 10 years? We inflate the currency to hope to re-stimulate the economy. It moves from the Fed, who creates it with the click of a button, down to the the banking executives, the biggest ones, Jamie Dimon over at JP Morgan, Goldman, BlackRock. Everyone at that higher level banking level has the first access to the money at or near zero. And then from there, it goes down to business executives who are taking out corporate bonds. And the Fed has made it clear now that they're buying corporate bonds. So this money went to corporate executives. And from there, as we've seen the salary differences between executives and the rest of the employees in the corporate world over the last 30 years, that gap has widened. So that money has really stayed within the elitist class, the banking elitists, the business elitists. You and I that are working normal jobs at companies notice that there hasn't been many salary increases, almost none, no bonuses for us. But this money, this inflation that has been created, that has been used as a tool of financial terrorism, is going to continue to be inflated, and it's going to continue to stay in the pockets of the bankers, the business executives, and the rest of us here are going to see no share of that. But even worse, our savings are being devalued again. Your dollars in your bank account, look at that bank account today. Your dollars in your wallet, look in your wallet today. Your dollars, when you look at your 401k, at your dollar value of that 401k, look at that dollar value today, because tomorrow, after they print another 100 billion, and next year after they print another 10 to 17 trillion over the next couple years to get us out of this, and we're not getting out of it because it's ending, your dollars that you saw today are worth way less in the future. That happened in the past, but right now, what Jerome Powell has made very clear is that going forward, there will be more inflation, more inflation than we've ever seen in the history of the United States. And this is why we started adoBtion. This is why I'm here. Bitcoin is the escape. This is great news for Bitcoin as a decentralized cryptocurrency that has a scarce supply. It has a fixed amount of Bitcoin that ever will exist in the world. 21 million whole Bitcoin will ever exist in the world. One Bitcoin can be broken down 100 million decimal places. What you need to know as an average person, what does that mean, Joe? That means right now, if you look at your dollar bill dollars only break down to a penny, right? So if you look at it at a decimal perspective, you have $1, 1.00. Your currency only breaks down to 0.01, right? 1 penny. Well, Bitcoin can break down 100 millionth decimal places. So let's do the math. What is that, 9? I don't know, 8, 10? I grew up in government indoctrination camps, so I don't even know. But what you need to know is that this is one of the only ways going forward that you're going to be able to save and preserve your wealth, grow your wealth, or preserve any type of wealth that you thought you had. Because when you're holding dollars going forward, or you're holding bonds, or even if you're holding stocks, that stock price is looking real good, real high, right? But guess what? Your currency is going to be devalued and debased at the same time, and it's a net negative. It's a net. If you netted out what you made in the stock versus what you lost in your currency, it's as if you shouldn't have even done it at all, and you should have just put it in Bitcoin from the start. So that's the update from the Federal Reserve meeting. What that means for us here in the Bitcoin industry is that we keep on dollar cost averaging. You keep hodling, you keep teaching people, because this is a very big deal going forward. People's lives, their retirement savings accounts, their savings, they're thinking they're doing everything right. They're going to get screwed, and the only way to change that is by buying Bitcoin, gold, silver, precious metals, and that's all we have for that one. So we'll see what happens next with Jerome Powell. Second update for today's news is actually a significant one for me and also for most of the crypto space. It is the death anniversary of Hal Finney. Hal Finney, for those of you who don't know, was actually the first person to run Bitcoin. So this is a tweet from Hal back on January 10th, 2009. He was the first person after Satoshi Nakamoto launched the Bitcoin or released the Bitcoin white paper. Satoshi had released the Bitcoin white paper on the story goes is that Satoshi released the Bitcoin white paper anonymously on a cypherpunk cryptographic chat forum, and Hal Finney, being one of the individuals who had been working on digital money in the 80s and 90s, was one of these people. He was the first one to connect with Satoshi and actually download the Bitcoin blockchain, run the Bitcoin protocol, and actually receive the first Bitcoin transaction from Satoshi himself. Now, Hal passed away from ALS quite a while ago, 6 years ago. He had suffered with that battle shortly after coming into the Bitcoin space in 2009 and 10. And this is significant. You know, there's a lot of people in the crypto space that think that Hal Finney either had a pretty large role in playing in the creation of Bitcoin, but also had a very significant role in just the early development of the protocol. This is talked about quite a lot. Who is Satoshi? Who is Satoshi Nakamoto? Because we don't know who Satoshi is. And what I try to tell people is that it doesn't matter who Satoshi is. Satoshi was an individual or a group of people who simply took a bunch of already existing projects that had occurred in the 80s, 90s, into the 2000s. These were projects that were failed digital cash projects. These were, there's been a lot of people trying to create digital money since really that period. So all this group of people or person really did was took a bunch of these projects that had existed and put them together in a way that made sense and worked, and then built in game theory. He built in the miners. So he built in the psychological portion of this. So Satoshi really had done all this together. Now, whether Hal was a part of that group or is Satoshi himself, that we're never going to know that, and that's okay with me. Because another reason why I don't care who owns Bitcoin is because I know Bitcoin is decentralized. We know that Bitcoin is not owned or controlled by anyone. It's controlled by those who participate in its network. those that decide to opt into the Bitcoin network, download a copy of the Bitcoin blockchain, become a node in the network, and you contribute to the overall strength of the network. So the Bitcoin network works just like the internet, where it's just this web of computers that are all interconnected. They all have copies of the blockchain, and the only way to disrupt that and actually take that over, hack it, destroy, at least as we know now, is to overtake 51% of the overall hash rate. So you have to overtake 51% of the computers that are running Bitcoin, the Bitcoin blockchain, around the world at the same time. The problem with this is that it just becomes extremely costly to have the amount of computing power to do this. So the more that Bitcoin grows, the more people who start using Bitcoin, the stronger the network gets. This is a significant difference. Hal Finney had a large portion in the creation of Bitcoin. I'm pretty confident on that. I've studied a lot of some of Hal's work in the past. So today we remember you, Hal. Thank you for everything you have done for us. All right, moving on from there. Cool one for everyone is an app called Strike. So Strike is an app that you can download. It's actually a very new app. It was launched by an individual named Jack Mallers. Jack Mallers is out of Chicago. He's got a long family history in the futures markets and a lot of what goes on in Chicago with the CBOE and the CME. So he has really worked to create a lot of these future kind of investment vehicles that don't exist yet in the crypto space, but probably will going forward. Strike is one of his products. This app was launched about, I think, 3 weeks ago at this point, so I'm kind of showing everyone here a little bit later. But what it is it's really the fastest way for you to use Bitcoin in the cheapest way right now. So all you do is, so you can go to beta.strike.me, or you can look up Strike Bitcoin and you'll find it, probably one of the first hitters. But you see here, send money instantly with no fees anywhere in the world, frictionless onboarding. So you can go from download to payments in seconds. Strike only requires your name, phone number, and a sign up to get started. So what you would be doing is linking your debit card, and from there, you're actually able to send Bitcoin transactions through the Lightning Network. These are Lightning payments, so they're very fast Bitcoin payments. Some of the actually Lightning Network, for those who don't know, is the second layer project it is currently being pushed by a lot of the Bitcoin developers as a solution to the scaling issue of Bitcoin. When the Bitcoin blockchain is being used quite a bit, like it was in 2017 during the last run-up, Bitcoin transaction time goes up, and that's because as more people are submitting Bitcoin transactions, they get collected in a pool, and the miners who are validating the network to make sure that there's no fraud, that all these transactions are sound, are eating away at that pool as time goes on. So Lightning was really created as a way to have an off-layer transaction process where even if the Bitcoin network is bogged down during the next bull run, which we're going to see here probably coming up in the next couple of years, you'll still be able to send transactions within seconds. This stuff is getting to the point where you send a transaction, 1 second later it validates. But the best part about Strike is there's no cost to that. So you can check out the Strike app. You can download this app. You can link your debit card, and you can send Lightning payments with your Bitcoin. But a part of this app is what I wanted to announce today is their new cashback feature. So about 2 weeks ago, Jack Mallers announced that Strike has actually partnered with Visa, and so Strike is coming out with a Visa card in which you'll be able to pay with your Visa card, but you're going to be able to get Bitcoin cash back for that, or Bitcoin back for that. So this is a pretty cool way for those out there that are looking to stack sats in a passive way. We talked about dollar cost averaging. That's a good way to stack sats, especially if you don't have too much money. You could buy 1 Bitcoin worth a day, 1 Bitcoin worth a week, and that's a lot more in the future. This is the second option you can use. Look at Strike. And then look at their new Visa card. Maybe put your name in, because if you're spending with your Visa card anyways, you might as well spend with your Visa card and get Bitcoin cash back. That might be worth lots and lots of money in the future for you, your family, but more importantly, you saving any wealth you had. In the last update that I wanted to talk about today, of course, is key storage. So a lot of people say to me, Joe, okay, I have my Bitcoin now. I bought it from Swan. I bought it from the exchanges. But how do I safeguard my Bitcoin? And one of the ways that I always tell people to do this is by buying a Trezor wallet. Trezor is an actual... they're a company for hardware wallets. Hardware wallets in the crypto space are these little USB looking devices. And what they are is they're encrypted. So what you can do is after you buy your crypto or your Bitcoin on the exchange, you can plug in this hardware wallet, this encrypted device, and you create an account on their website. And what you do is you send your Bitcoin into your hardware wallet. And that, once you unplug it from the computer, you'll see here, just like she has her plug. Once you unplug it from the computer, your Bitcoin is now saved and safe. It's the safest way to save your Bitcoin at the moment right now is through hardware wallets. So definitely check out Trezor, Trezor.io. I will, as we talk about a lot in the Bitcoin space, just make sure that you guys are on the proper websites. Check the SSL locks, make sure it's secure. Check the certificates to see who gave the certificates and stuff, and that'll typically give you a little insights, because there is a lot of hacking and fraud that goes on in the Bitcoin space. Don't trust anyone with right away. You got to really question stuff. But how else can you keep your Bitcoin safe outside of Trezor? Well, one step up is you could actually head over to a website called Casa. So you can go to keys.casa, or you can look up Casa Wallet, casawallet.com, and you'll come to this website here. Now, Casa is they're not really a new company. They've been around for a few years now. They're led up by a lot of the crypto OGs. So James Lopp is he's actually the CEO. He is a Bitcoin OG. He's one of the individuals that was developing on the Bitcoin blockchain very early. So he's very trusted. Casa is a very trusted company. But what they've done is they've created a really great product to help you safeguard your Bitcoin. So typically what happens with hardware wallets is, right now a hardware wallet is the only way to really secure my Bitcoin. I just said that to you. So if I was going to want to secure my Bitcoin right now, I would have to send it from the exchange, my exchange, to my hardware wallet address. And then once I send that Bitcoin to my hardware wallet that's plugged into the computer by USB, I can then unplug that USB after I send my Bitcoin to the wallet, and then that is now an encrypted device. The only way to gain access to your Bitcoin or send your Bitcoin from there is to have this hardware wallet and to have it plugged into your computer. And when you go to send the money, you have to actually validate on that little encrypted device that you want to send. This is how it works. That's the safest way right now. But if you want to take it a step further, you can go to Casa Wallet, and what they've done is they've added a third option in that process to send and to send Bitcoin. So right now it's called what's called a multi-sig process. So multiple signatures, 2 signatures. So when I sign to send a transaction, I click send, and then it'll ask me to validate on my hardware wallet if I really want to send it. I click yes. That are 2 separate signatures that occur that act as a security feature to make sure that I'm not a hacker somewhere else around the world and I'm not trying to send his Bitcoin out of that account, because I need that physical device there to say, yes, this is me, yes, send that money. Casa now has added a third option where let's just say there is a hacker. Let's just say it wasn't me. In order for this person to have access to my funds, they would have to use 2 of the 3. So, it would have to either be me, my hardware wallet, and them sending, or it would have to be them sending and Casa agreeing on that. So you see how that works? So if I'm not in the middle of the picture, Casa acts as the backup, and their security is supposed to be the highest cutting edge level of encryption. That's a good example of why I would use Casa. Now, another good example of why Casa is another good option is when it comes to estate planning. They say protect here what matters. So estate planning is something that's pretty big in the crypto space right now. It's not big. It's a problem that's being solved right now. So the crypto space, it's still very young. In order to really buy and sell Bitcoin, the last year and a half, it's become much easier. But it's still a little confusing to save it, right? I just told you had to use hardware wallets. You have to do this and that. well, what happens if, you pass away, God forbid, and your loved ones are now, they're like, I know he had Bitcoin. I don't know what I do. I don't know where his passwords are. I don't know what to do with the hardware wallet. This is a common thing that happens. There have been some incidents where individuals have passed away over the last couple of years, and they had millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin, but because they hadn't done the proper steps of estate planning, creating a will, or having a product like Casa that acts as a third-party validator now, their money still is lost forever. That's the joke about Bitcoin. They say that you can't take money with you when you die, but you can actually take Bitcoin with you when you die, because Bitcoin's funds are locked up by a password. And if you forget that, or if you forget the password, it's not written down, or if you die with that password without it being written down, no one's going to have access to that money again. This is a problem right now. This is actively being solved. Casa is the solution. So the way that Casa helps with estate planning is that, let's just go back to this unfortunate incident. I perish, and side note, if I perish after this, someone please investigate that, because it's a little sketchy. I'm saying it on here, and then I'm going to be driving around afterwards wherever I'm at. But anyways, let's just go with that. So let's just say I leave the house and I get hit by a truck, right? And boom, there he goes. There goes Joe. What my estate can now do, which would be a wife, a spouse, whoever, they know that they don't know what the hell Bitcoin is, but they know that Joe has his Bitcoin secured with the Casa wallet. So they would call Casa and they would send in my death certificate, and they would prove, just like a normal insurer, how I passed away. Casa validates that on their side, and now Casa becomes the second person in the multi-sig process that's allowed to release the funds of Bitcoin. So Casa can now work with my spouse, and they can help her secure and retrieve those funds, because they act in my place as the second person that does a multi-sig. Now this wouldn't, some people say, well, that's a little fishy, 2 out of 3, but think about it, right? If I was still alive, they wouldn't be able to do this, because it's only 2 out of 3 and I would still be here. So this is a great product. This is a very trusted product. This is something that I think going forward, more individuals are going to be looking into. Estate planning is something here at adoBtion that we actively look into, because it's very important that you think about safeguarding your crypto and your Bitcoin today, but also when you do pass on, because you do want your loved ones, and most importantly your kids, to benefit off of this wealth transfer. I do have a firm belief that Bitcoin is data. Data is the new oil. We are very much moving into the fourth industrial revolution, which is the tech revolution. And we think that we've seen what the internet has done to this world yet, but this is just the beginning. And if you consider oil being the resource that fueled the last industrial revolution in the 1800s that led us to today, and the growth of value in that commodity, and you look at Bitcoin and data going forward in the future, and you consider Bitcoin and data the same sort of commodity as oil, meaning that in order to operate on the blockchain, in order to operate online, you're going to be spending this stuff. You're going to be sending little Satoshis to do a little function. You're going to be sending little Satoshis to pay tolls as you're driving underneath them, to pay for a room to unlock at a hotel room. This is an asset that we can't even fathom right now what its value is because its value hasn't even reached its full potential. So you want to safeguard this stuff, because for people like you and I, we're going to leave this world, but we're going to have our kids that are still here who, in my opinion, will probably be the primary beneficiaries of Bitcoin. So I hope that helped you learn how you can save Bitcoin properly, how you can store your Bitcoin properly. And again, if you have any questions on any of this stuff, what you can do is you can head over to adobtbitcoin.com, adobtbitcoin.com, and this is our website, so you can subscribe to our free email newsletter here, and you'll get email updates of videos just like this, all of our educational content. This is really our primary goal, is to just help teach people about Bitcoin so we can help with Bitcoin adoption, really. And what we also do is we help businesses, so small businesses who are looking to either learn about Bitcoin, integrate Bitcoin payments into their normal business processes. That's very beneficial. If you're an overseas business or an international business, you're probably not unfamiliar with the friction of sending payments internationally. It's a longer wait time. There's a lot of fees involved. You can do that with Bitcoin. It'll get there in seconds, and it's widely accepted around the world. So if you're looking to integrate payments, we'll definitely teach you all about that. And then if you're just looking to learn, hey, Joe, how can I want to ask you a few questions just to clear my head, and then maybe there's something I might want to do with my business. You'll see on there, we have a free Ask Me Anything. You could definitely click that button. We'll get on the phone with you for 30 minutes. We'll answer a few questions you have, and we'll get you on your way. But that's going to be it for today, everyone. Went a little bit longer than I wanted to. Thank you so much for spending this Friday with me. As you can see right now, it is sunny out, so Friday's gold, baby, and it's great. So keep stacking sats, keep hodling. Don't listen to the mainstream news. Don't look at prices, dollar cost average. Warren Buffett can go take a hike. He'll be buying Bitcoin at 50,000. Jerome Powell's going to keep it going. So it's a good road, everyone. Take care. Peace. I love y'all.